Hey, what's up YouTube? Your boy Chris out in the Caliente garage. This is going to be my instructional video on how to install the Rivco trailer hitch on my 2021 Honda Goldwing. This will also apply to the 2018 or newer models. For a step-by-step on the previous generation Goldwings for the year 2012 through 2017, click on the video link in the top left corner to access my Rivco trailer hitch install for the previous generational Goldwing. Stay tuned to this video and I'm going to show you how I install the Rivco hitch on this 21 Honda Goldwing. Let's get started. This would be Rivco trailer hitch part number GW007. In this portion of the video, I unbox all of the items that were wrapped in the kit. In order to identify the right and left side trailing arm, I used a black magic marker. Note that the trailing arms were clearly marked on the outside of the white packaging from Rivco, the right and left side. Note that the strut arms on the right and left sides are totally identical. Please note that the chrome toe ball does not come with the trailer hitch. It is sold separately. That part number is GL18007-C. This would be the black hitch frame receiver. All of the hardware that came in the kit, I poured it out onto a soft blanket. I verified that all of the parts in the kit was accounted for. Placed the motorcycle on its center stand. But for my installation, I lifted the Honda Goldwing with my Pitbull motorcycle airlift. In order to install the Rivco trailer hitch, you must remove the seat from the Honda Goldwing. For a step-by-step instructional video on how to remove the seat, click on the link at the top of this video to reference my How to Remove a Seat from a 2021 Honda Goldwing. Once the seat has been removed, remove the rear fender. There are two socket head cap screws located just above the license plate. Use a 5mm hex bit to remove these bolts. After removing the two 5mm cap screws, pull out on the fender to release the tabs. Unplug the light harness. Remove the plastic side cover located at the passenger's footrest. Toward the rear, there are two plastic push pins that must be removed. Underneath the plastic cover at the front, there is a small hex screw that needs to be removed. There is also a bolt at the top that needs to be removed. I use a deep well socket to remove that bolt. With a little bit of effort, the plastic cover can now be removed. Repeat the exact same process on the opposite side of the Honda Goldwing. Remove the rear plastic tip over covers. by releasing the plastic pin underneath. I used a panel removal tool to release the plastic pin underneath the tip over cover. Push up on the bottom and pull out. The cover will come free. Remove two 6mm screws that secures the exhaust heat shields. After removing both screws, you will need to slide the covers forward to remove them. Pay close attention how the heat shields mount to the exhaust. Use a flashlight if necessary. This may require a little bit of effort to release the heat shields. Repeat the exact same steps on the opposite side of the Honda Goldwing. I removed both crash bars on the right and left side using a deep well socket and a ratchet. I then replaced the bolts back into the thread for temporary storage. This is a picture of the trailer hitch when it's fully assembled to just give you an idea of exactly what it's going to look like when it's mounted on the bike. Now pay attention to the strut arms at the top. When you place these strut arms up through the back of the Goldwing, the curves must be facing forward. The curve will bolt up to the frame of the Goldwing located underneath the seat. When pushing up the strut arm from the back of the Goldwing at the rear tire, notice that the curve is facing forward. This is a diagram picture looking at the frame from underneath the seat. If you note, A and B has to be removed. So we're going to take out nut A and bolt B on both sides. Once the strut arm is into position, install one of the supplied longer bolts that came in the kit. The size is 8x50mm bolts. Then install the new longer 8x50mm bolt with the original nut that came off the bike. Unplug any harnesses that are in your way. You may need an assortment of tools to remove the nut and bolts. When the nut comes free, use a magnetic tool to hold the nut into position to prevent dropping the nut down between the side of the bike. In this portion of the video, I took the strut arm and I inserted the strut arm. I came from the top side down. Now in the directions, it said come from the bottom of the Goldwing up near the rear tire. And that process does work, but for my installation, I went from the top down. So these are the only three that's in the kit that's the same size. So we're going to use two of these to bolt up underneath the seat. Remember to use the nut that came off of the bike with the longer 8x50mm bolt. I'm using a universal drive with a 12mm socket to push the bolt back through the frame. You will need to repeat the exact same steps and process on the opposite side of the Honda Goldwing. Next, before we can install the lower trailing arms, we need to locate the tip over bars that we removed earlier. If you notice, a nut is welded on the back side of the bar. This needs to be removed before we can install the trailing arm. Use a cutting tool or a grinder to remove the nut. This will apply to the tip over bars on both right and left side. So before we can install the lower right trailing arm, we need to take out this bolt, which is B. Use the 8 by 45 millimeter flange bolt, which is the medium length. Reinstall the medium bolt in length, 8 by 45 millimeters. Once the bolt is all the way through, on the back side of the bolt, install the thinnest spacer that came in the kit. Here is a good illustration of the bolt that we put through the number 9, which is the 8 by 45 millimeter bolt. We put it through the subframe, and then we come back with the number 7 thin spacer. We put on the number 4 trailing arm and secure the trailing arm with a flange nut on the back side. This is the lower right trailing arm. Just remember the medium length 8 by 45 millimeter bolt, the thinnest spacer, the trailing arm, secure it with the flange nut. You may even need a flashlight to line up the holes on the trailing arm, or either a second set of hands. Tighten the flange nut to the bolt between 18 and 22 foot-pounds. Replace the right tip over bar, placing its rear tab with the bolt hole between the trailing arm and the main frame. Use one of the supplied 8 by 40 millimeter bolts and a 8 millimeter flange nut. In the forward hole, use one of the original 8 by 25 millimeter bolts. Looking at the left side of the Honda Goldwing, I will use the exact same steps on the left side that I use on the right side. But instead, I will be using the 8 by 50 millimeter, which is the longest threaded bolt that came in the kit, along with the thickest spacer. Here's a good illustration of the left side underneath the bike. The number 8, which is the longest bolt that came in the kit, the 8 by 50 millimeter. It goes through the subframe. Then the thickest spacer, which is the number 6, the trailing arm, then securing with a flange nut on the backside. Replace the left tip over bar as done earlier on the right side, placing the rear tab between the silver main frame and the trailing arm using a 8 by 40 millimeter bolt and the flange nut. Be sure to use the original 8 by 25 millimeter bolt at the front of the tip over bar. Do not fully tighten these bolts at this time. Install the hitch frame receiver using the 4 supplied 3/8 by 1 1/4 bolts, 3/8 locking nut, and 8 3/8 flat washers. Place the washer onto each bolt. Lift the receiver up into place. The strut arms should be outward of the receiver and the trailing arm outwards of the struts as shown. Insert the bolts from the center outward as shown through all 3 pieces, followed by another washer and a locking nut. And here is an illustration of the hitch frame receiver that is already mounted on the trailing arm and the strut arms. The number 16 is the anti-chatter bolt for the hitch receiver. Now that the hitch frame receiver is installed, tighten the hitch frame bolts and nuts securely between 30 and 32 foot-pounds. Be sure to go back and check all of your work. Make sure that the 8 millimeter bolts and nuts have been secured between 18 and 22 foot-pounds. It is critical that you recheck all of the nuts and bolts. Verify that they have been tightened back down to the manufacturer's specification. This is going to conclude the video of me installing the trailer hitch to my 2021 Honda Goldwing. Be sure to stay tuned to my part 2 video. I will be showing how to connect the lights for the trailer. If you like this video, be sure to click the like button. If you haven't already, be sure to subscribe to the YouTube channel. This is your boy Chris, just showing you how to install the Rivco trailer hitch to the newer Goldwing. And I will talk to you guys later. See ya.